automatically all the characters within that universe, like the Joker, Harley Quinn, Suicide Squad, etc. So, this is going to be a review of sorts since I saw the movie, and I'm going to give my thoughts on it. Even though the movie's been out in theaters for a few weeks now, I thought I'd do this for the channel. So, first thing, I enjoyed the movie. I know a lot of people online were critiquing it, saying that it was not a good superhero movie, and that it was not a good movie in general. And I feel that these people weren't exactly the intended fans that were supposed to enjoy this movie. So, there's that. And I think some people went in with the expectation that The Dark Knight is basically how all Batman films and films that feature the Joker should be. So a lot of people were expecting some sort of like Joker story similar to The Dark Knight, and they were disappointed, I'd say. Now, I'm not going to get into spoilers right now, but when I will talk about spoilers, I'm gonna give a warning, and I'll give you 5 seconds to pause or switch off the video. So far, there won't be any spoilers, of course. That'll be later in this video. I'm going to be very general with the information that I give. Now, it seems that a lot of younger people, under 20 years of age, I'd say, like teenagers, really enjoyed this movie. In various interviews that I've seen, lots and lots of, let's say, casual superhero fans became fans of Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad after watching this film, and actually went out to buy the comics, which I think is a very good thing, because DC Comics in general, for the past few years, have always had an audience that was much older than the current generation, I'd say. It's basically been the same fans for the last 10, 15 years, and even more. So bringing in new fans and younger fans is always a good thing. So, in Suicide Squad, some of the characters that appear in this movie are Deadshot, Harley Quinn, the Joker, of course. You have Captain Boomerang, Slipknot, El Diablo, Enchantress, Rick Flag, Amanda Waller, Katana. Let me think, who else is in the movie? Killer Croc, and I know I'm missing at least 1 or 2 more people, I think, or that could be it. Well, those are at least the characters that stood out to me. A curious thing that a lot of the fans of the Suicide Squad comic book series were saying was that it was odd for DC to write in characters like Killer Croc and Katana into the movie, because in the Suicide Squad comics, they are basically in the DC universe, but they're not characters that necessarily show up into the comic, the Suicide Squad comics. So I found that a bit strange. I mean, it's perfectly fine, but it would like throwing in characters like the Scarecrow and, I don't know, Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul into the Suicide Squad. It'd be a bit weird because you're like, these are characters from the DC universe, but they're not necessarily Suicide Squad characters. And there are many Suicide Squad characters that they could have chosen, but I think they went with Katana because she's very popular. And she's a cool character. And the same goes for Killer Croc. I'm assuming they wanted to go for a Batman villain and a minor villain, so they wouldn't, give away Bane or Deathstroke or one of those characters. So, yeah. So, let me see. The comic books. I'd say the movie followed some of the comic books very well, like the plot, as in criminals being contracted by Amanda Waller and the government basically to do a job, and if they don't do the job, they're, threatened with devices that are implanted in their neck or head. So, in that sense, the movie it stuck basically very close to the source material, so I was perfectly happy with that. I found that Jared Leto's performance as the Joker was very good. I'd say that he is one of the creepiest Jokers that was ever in a live-action DC movie or TV series. Romero in the classic Batman TV series, he was very funny, he was a bit strange, but he was a funny character. Sure, he was a bad guy on the show, and a little bit odd, but a funny sort of character, quirky, into jokes and stuff. Whereas Nicholson's Joker was a psychotic type of criminal, and he seemed to enjoy killing and committing crimes, and enjoyed being chased by Batman, basically, and having a whole thing with that. And I liked Nicholson's Joker. I think he did a very good job. And then we have Heath Ledger's famous Dark Knight role as the Joker, which I also enjoy. And I basically enjoy Heath Ledger's and Nicholson's performance as the Joker. I can't make up my mind between which one is better, because they are both different versions of the Joker. The Joker that is shown in Dark Knight is more of a chaos side character, as in a complete contrast to Batman. So he's a kind of Joker that showed up basically in the late 80s and 90s comics of Batman, where the Joker became, I wouldn't say more evil, but more calculated and dangerous, but at the same time, he didn't work like other Batman villains, and that he didn't care about certain petty things that other criminals or villains did. He solely lived with the purpose of antagonizing and basically toying around with Batman and Gotham City for his own amusement, sort of like a balance to a scale of justice, similar to the concept of yin and yang. There's light and dark, basically balancing each other out. And that's basically what was toyed in The Dark Knight. I believe there's a key scene near the end of the Joker says that without him, Batman's nothing, and that he needs Batman as well as Batman needs him. So, Ledger's Joker. Like, he borrows various things from both of those iterations of the Joker. And I would think that the average DC fan would be very happy with how the Joker was portrayed in this movie. If anyone has ever seen Batman Beyond, you'd know that the Joker in that acts very differently from other versions of the Joker. Batman Beyond is an animated series that takes place in the future, in future Gotham, basically. And the Joker in that one is a bit more down-to-earth, sort of criminal villain, but still has the sort of classic Joker feel that Joker in the Batman the Animated Series, which is, of course, a masterpiece. And I really, really like Batman the Animated Series, but that's another topic for another time. And Jared Leto's Joker, he is very, very, let's say, psychotic, but more than any other version of the Joker, and I'll explain why. He, in the few scenes that we had about him in the movie, this isn't a spoiler, it's basically known, it's a known fact that he's not in the movie a lot because the movie isn't about him. So, the scenes that he did show up in were very good, and he gave off the vibe that of an uneasiness, basically, like you would hate to be stuck in a room with this version of the Joker. He seems to be the kind of person that enjoys chaos, similar to Heath Ledger's Joker, but he is also a criminal and enjoys killing and criminal activity, similar to Nicholson's Joker. So he's basically a fusion of the two, both the criminal aspects and the chaos aspects of Heath Ledger's Joker. And he's very unpredictable, like the most unpredictable Joker. And I'm not talking like Dark Knight unpredictable Joker where, oh, do you want to see a magic trick and I'll show you where this needle disappears type Joker. No, I'm unpredictable in the sense that he could be smiling and acting completely fine and normal, similar to how in, your mafia movies, that you'll have like a mafia boss acting perfectly normal around his cronies, like, yeah, we're all having a great time. And then all of a sudden, complete personalities change, and he just kills the whole room full of people. And that's the vibe that this Joker gives off, like, very happy and like a prankster. But there's like, he's like a double-edged sword of sorts that you know that he is acting a certain way just to toy with you, and he knows that you know, and he enjoys the fact that you're frightened. So I don't know, I think he did a very good job, and I hope that if they release an Ultimate Edition of Suicide Squad, that they, release all the footage that they edited from the theatrical version of the movie, similar to how they did it with Batman v Superman, where they released an R-rated home DVD and Blu-ray version with all the removed scenes, and it made it a better movie. So I think if they did the same with Suicide Squad, the movie could be a lot better. But that's just my opinion, of course. And something else that I really enjoyed about the Suicide Squad was the banter and interaction between the characters. I'm not a huge fan of Jai Courtney, but he plays Captain Boomerang in the film, and he is one of the funniest characters in that movie. He made me laugh a lot, and I think he did a very good job. And it didn't is a sort of crazy criminal with a boomerang and an Australian accent in the comics. And he plays him perfectly, so he did a good job. Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, was a very good Harley Quinn. Harley is, I'd say, a character that has been on the rise in popularity ever since the Batman Arkham games. And she just seems to keep getting more and more popular. They added her to the official Suicide Squad comics, even though she wasn't really a member of the comics beforehand. But I'm perfectly fine with her being in the comics because she is a criminal character and it makes sense that she might show up. Killer Croc is in the movie. He has one of the funniest lines in the movie, which I won't spoil, but it's a funny line. Everyone in the theater, when I watched it, laughed. And Deadshot, one of my favorite characters from the Suicide Squad series, played by Will Smith in the movie. I think Will Smith did a very good job playing Deadshot. I think that he gave the character sort of like human personality, as like you empathize with him more. In the comics, you know, some versions you do empathize with Deadshot, and other ones you're kind of like, you really don't like him because he is a criminal and he does go after Batman on a few occasions. So he is an assassin basically, but an assassin with a backstory which makes you sort of question certain things. Like he himself agrees that he is a bad guy, but that doesn't mean that he cares and has attachments to certain things. And in the movie he even mentions that he's not like the other guys in the squad, which are criminals that delight in what they do, basically. And now I think I'm going to go to spoilers, so if you... Oh, before I go to spoilers, the movie was very good. Not the greatest DC movie of all time, but for a superhero movie and for a DC Universe superhero movie, I'd give it 7 out of 10 stars. I mean, yeah, 7 out of 10. It's very good. It's enjoyable, entertaining, very good music. The CGI in the movie is amazing. Like, very good CGI and special effects. I was actually blown away because the effects in Suicide Squad were slightly better than the ones in Batman v Superman, so that is a big deal. And aside from music, the music was, I forget who composed it, but they've done work in the past which I think was recognized for being very good. So in this movie, it's a mixture of original soundtrack pieces, composed pieces, and licensed music, similar to Guardians of the Galaxy using licensed music. And there's some really cool tracks in the movie. I won't give any out anyway, of course. And I'd say the story is very good, and the only con that I have with the movie is there are scenes that are poorly edited. You can tell that content was cut from certain places in the movie. Like, you'll notice some characters will be talking in a room, the scene will switch and transition to something that takes place 10 minutes later, and you don't even know how these characters got there, and they don't explain anything. This happens about 3 or 5 times, and I think that this is due to the fact that they censored or cut certain content that was deemed to be too dark for the movie. So if they ever release a uncut version, like I've said, they'll probably restore that, and this won't be an issue anymore. But just keep that in mind. That's the only thing that I think this movie fails on a bit. Now, let's go to spoilers. I'll give you 5 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, is not the main villain of this movie. He only appears in a few scenes to rescue Harley from the Suicide Squad, basically, since they do have bombs in their necks or the back of their skulls. So if they try to escape, they will die. Slipknot, in fact, was a character that died early on in the movie, and you could see it coming if you read the comics. So I thought that was a nice tell. Batman makes a short appearance in the movie. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was nice. Enchantress is the villain, played by Cara Delevingne. I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's famous. She's a model, and she has been acting in movies recently. She's very good in this film, and she plays Enchantress, and the special effects for her character are amazing, like some of the best I've seen in a superhero movie. Definitely check it out. And the final battle, I was very entertained by. The special effects were great, the fighting was great. El Diablo, which is a character that you think is basically a nothing character, turns out to be one of the most important characters in the movie, so that's a nice twist. Amanda Waller, foolishly gets basically in trouble in the movie, which is a bit strange because she's usually like very smart and intelligent in the comics, and in this movie she basically needs the Suicide Squad's help to rescue her, which didn't make a lot of sense, I think. But it was okay. It wasn't bad. It was just something strange. Let's see, Captain Boomerang's character, I said before, it was funny. He kind of comes around in the movie as a more likable guy near the end, but I wish they kept it a bit more like the comic books, where you should never trust Captain Boomerang because he is a character that only thinks about himself and will always betray the team at the end when it most counts. And Harley is one of the coolest characters in the movie and one of the most popular ones as well. I've noticed a lot of people wearing t-shirts from her, about her, or getting basically gadgets and other things with Harley's face on it after the movie came out. So I think she's a very popular character, even more after the movie came out. So she's funny, and she's a funny character in the movie, and she has a lot of interesting scenes. I really liked some of her action scenes where she fights some of the villains, which are basically which is basically Enchantress, who is a deity, and they create sort of monsters from humans that they like suck the souls out of for energy, and these humans become like these huge mutant monsters that they fight. That was a bit strange. Usually Suicide Squad deals with conflicts or situations involving humans, sometimes other villains, but this seemed like the movie was set up the villains to be a lot bigger than something the Suicide Squad would usually handle, I'd say. But they did a good job anyway, and I enjoyed it. Let me think about the comedy in the movie. I'd say they were trying to go for something like Guardians of the Galaxy or Deadpool after some of the backlash of Batman v Superman being too dark, and you can tell. And I kind of wish they stayed to their original vision. But I really enjoyed the movie, and I think if you enjoy comic book movies and superheroes, and basically are interested in the DC universe, you should definitely check out Suicide Squad. Just go in expecting a movie with a group of characters, not famous ones like Batman and stuff, to basically go go on a mission and certain stuff happens, you should not expect a sort of Guardians of the Galaxy story of a ragtag group that becomes friends. You should expect a story of criminals fighting other, even badder guys, and slightly, and I mean slightly, redeeming themselves in the end. But some funny scenes, great visuals, great music. I give it a 7 out of 10. And I'd give it a higher score if they release an uncensored version or an Ultimate Edition once the Blu-ray release comes out. So, those are my thoughts on Suicide Squad and my review basically. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please comment, like, and subscribe. Share the video with any other people you think would enjoy it, and so on.